What may seem like an eyesore to others is a homely feature that is near and dear to my heart. The Coliseum's iconic bridge is one such feature, a bridge that every young A's fan takes the pilgrimage across. The pilgrimage starts at the Coliseum BART stop, where the rookie then travels across the caged bridge, all while warding off ticket scalpers and knockoff merchandise salesmen, before it opens up to reveal the mammoth concrete walls of the Coliseum, where you will escape from reality for the next 3 hours. If you are lucky, you will hear the sweet sounds of celebration after an A's win, as has remained custom for 42 years, while everyone funnels back across the bridge and back onto the BART platform. The ringing tune of celebration and the swirling aromas of beer, bacon wrapped hot dogs, and marijuana fuse to produce an intoxicating yet homey feel. So I read that article to begin. It's a paragraph from an article called "An Ode to the Last Dive Bar and Its Diehards." It's written by Jared Darling, who's at Cal State East Bay. He's a sports photographer there, and the whole article is able to be read. And he talks about how basically the sun is setting right now, kind of on this iteration of A's baseball, and how the team is almost like they're. He talks a little bit about how they might be going to Vegas, how they're trying to stay here, and just how it feels as a fan to be kind of caught in the middle of this, you know. So it's an interesting article. I'd certainly relate to a lot to it, and Tyler actually found it for us. So shout out Tyler.
Yeah, we'll put it in into the description below on our YouTube page, so you guys can take a look at it and read it. It's a great read. It's to me, I felt like very nostalgic about a lot of it. I know we have talked amongst ourselves about, you guys, I didn't get to see it. Unfortunately, I didn't really start attending games. So I was a little bit after it was built, but you guys got to witness Mount Davis being built. I think Sam more or less got to witness it. So
yeah, so did I. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's a great read. It made me feel really nostalgic. It kind of, I harp on them moving to Vegas and how much I don't care if they want to build in Oakland anymore until I see gold shovels. But reading this article, it kind of made me feel like I hope they do stay in Oakland, So we'll see. The dust is yet to be settled, as this article may say. But I heard Rob Manfred is
yeah,
being a
he's certainly
gigantic a-hole.
He's kicking up all kinds of dust right now into our eyes. He's just continues to antagonize the A's fan base. He said like they've been focusing on Vegas for the last like 3 months, and they've had no contact with the new Oakland administration. It's kind of interesting to me that you haven't reached out to the new mayor yet. She's been in the desk for a couple months now at this point, and it sounds like she's ready to talk, but she's also, going to put the city of Oakland first, which is obviously her priority. She has to make sure that if it's done right, it's done and it's done right. So I mean, I think baseball really needs to be talking to the city of Oakland. I mean, there's no reason not to. They just they got all pissed off because they couldn't get it done before Libby Schaff left, and I don't know. They're just like threw their hands in the air and said, "Fuck it, we're like talking to Vegas for the next couple of months." I don't know, man. This is pissing me off.
Well, let me be, for the one time in your life, the voice of reason.
Go for it, please.
Normally
it's my job.
Usually I'm the friend that is probably taking the more cynical point of view and being really unhappy on this topic. And I know the A's have been spending a lot of time in Las Vegas, but I really think, and I'm not saying I'm not defending Rob Manfred here, but I think from a dollars and cents, MLB wouldn't want the A's to move to Las Vegas. And the reason why is MLB wants to reconfigure. They want to get rid of the divisions and do a realignment. But for that to happen, they want to add 2 more teams. And Las Vegas is much more valuable if some crazy billionaire comes in and says, I'll pay you $5 billion to start a team, and then you got another owner that does the same thing. But they'd rather have Las Vegas be an expansion team. And I don't think the SoCal teams, even Arizona and Colorado, would want the Giants to basically have the entire Northern California. That it would just be completely, it would be one of the biggest media markets for one team. And I don't think the A's would get the votes to move. I think both LA teams vote no. San Diego votes no. Arizona, Colorado, and any giant division rivals are going to vote no. And I think this other owners would also vote no. So I think it makes the most sense that the A's stay in Oakland or move to another city. But pretty much any other city outside of, like right now, Las Vegas, they're not going to really offer money to relocate to that city. So you might get some type of tax break on buying and developing land, but I don't think you're going to get a whole bunch of, you're not going to hold cities of like Portland over a barrel. There's been talk about the A's going to Portland. I don't think you're going to hold that city over the barrel and say, you're going to build us a stadium, you're going to pay us to go over there. And then, I just don't think the economics are going to work. I still think that there is an opportunity that the A's do leave Oakland, but I actually think the likelihood is that they're going to stay in Oakland. And it's not because of John Fisher wants to be here or anything like that. I think it's because MLB and the other billionaire owners would rather have somebody else buy into the league. It's more profitable. And I think MLB wants the same thing. And also there's a talk about how the media on the East Coast, the television rights, the local rights are actually, that deal is falling apart because the company Bally Sports is falling apart. So they may not be able to broadcast games, and MLB wants to step in and basically do digital, streaming, where you would buy MLB TV and see more stuff like that through digital. So I just think the economics are changing in baseball, and they would rather have more teams in media markets. And the A's going to Las Vegas, I don't think really moves the needle, but a startup would. Look at the Las Vegas Knights. So that's my voice of reasoning, is like, I think the A's are going to stay in Oakland because they have to. Not really because they want to. So whatever silver lining you could get out of that.
Well, yeah. I mean, the way that you guys talked about it sounded like the A's are talking to Las Vegas because of some kind of negotiation tactic in which they're like, oh yeah, we might go to Las Vegas and to force the hand of Oakland to say, no, we want you to stay here. We'll give you what you want. But I don't know if that makes any sense. That's just kind of like what I interpreted from it.
Well, I think the best thing that could happen, I think we mentioned this before, the best thing that could happen is John Fisher just says, enough already. I'm going to sell the team. I'm out. And, it's well documented on this podcast how furious I have personally gotten with John Fisher. And, it bothers all of us, right? I have refused to buy anything from Gap, Old Navy, Banana Republic, or anything that he's affiliated with. That's just a personal stance. And I haven't supported this owner other than going to the A's games when I do go. But I have definitely I haven't gone to as many games as I would have liked to. So I do think there's a point where he's going to sell the team. Clearly he's not interested in winning. He's not interested in building a winning baseball team. He's interested in building a business that is making money. And he, for him to do that, he's going to have to get the stadium. He's going to have to get this whole baseball village and blah, blah, blah. That's kind of the model that most sports franchises are going, not just MLB, but everywhere. And I think at some point he's just going to wash his hands of it, maybe sell a majority stake. So he's still a partial owner. So he's still making money, but he kind of sells it to somebody who's going to keep him in Oakland and build at the current site, or maybe the Howard Terminal site. I don't know. We've all hoped for the Joe Lacob, right? We all hope for that deal. Joe Lacob says the current site is where he would want to build. We do know right now, if anybody bought the A's, half that land belongs to the A's. The other half still belongs to the city. So maybe there's some type of deal to be made where both, the A's are for sale and the city's half is for sale. That would definitely be, if somehow the A's ownership group, John Fisher or somebody else, preferably somebody else like Joe Lacob, was able to buy the current site, that would definitely be the quickest route to breaking ground. But I have to say the most exciting site I still think is Howard Terminal. I do think that would be the most exciting site, is opening up that waterfront, turning a parking lot into something that's accessible. It's on the water. We've talked about a couple episodes ago what San Leandro is doing with their shoreline, and Alameda. They got that area where there's they got wineries and distilleries. It's kind of, there. So I think it makes the most sense to put it on Howard Terminal. But
to piggyback your Howard Terminal, there's been some frequently asked questions on the city of Oakland's website. The ones that get raised the most, there's a question that says, how much will this project cost Oakland taxpayers? And the city has come out and said that the project will not raise taxes or put the city or county general funds at risk. Another one was, are my taxes going to increase? Will West Oakland's neighbors see an increase in property taxes due to Howard Terminal development? And the answer on that was no and no. There will not be an increase in anybody's taxes, and does not increase the property tax rate. The current assessed value of the waterfront ballpark district site is approximately $29.5 million. That value is expected to grow by $7.6 billion. Property taxes will be assessed on this new development, generating significant new tax revenues every year. And the last question was, is this going to be a lot like the Raiders deal of old? And they said no public funds will be used to build or operate the facility, nor will the city or council have operational duties or liabilities. Further, unlike the general obligation bonds issued to renovate the Coliseum, bonds don't put the general fund at risk and don't increase the Oakland's property tax rates. So I agree that Oakland is probably their best site. And if that stays true, that's not raising people's property taxes, not raising their actual taxes overall, it sounds like a no-brainer to stick with Howard Terminal.
Howard Terminal is just like it's the pretty site too. It's not too far from Jack London. It's kind of, you get to, the Giants did it right on the water. It's definitely, it would be beautiful. It would be beautiful out there to open up all that water, and the renderings of the cranes is really cool. I think all of that would be really great. The current site has its potential. And if you were able to tear down the stadium and rebuild the stadium and have the same field, that's pretty cool that you get to keep the same historical field. That would be really cool. I guess my only concern is they've been at this site for pretty much decades, and most the qualities of the current site hasn't sold it in the past. There's really not much to do there. So what are you going to put there if you're the A's? It's a huge site. So if you put a stadium there, are you getting rid of Oracle or putting a smaller one? Are you building a village around the stadium? And, what would that look like? But I think the concern is that site has been there, and there's really not much to do around there, or it's not accessible to get in and out of there, where I do think we've seen this before on other columnists and personalities. We've talked about it ourselves with Howard Terminal having access to 3 BART stations, and then possibly a ferry system if you built it on Howard Terminal, getting a ferry system. So there's
it's right next to Jack London, so you could even just utilize the Jack London.
correct. Yeah, I mean, and that might be, if San Leandro developed what they're talking about, and there's a ferry at San Leandro. I mean, a day game baseball game, ferry from San Leandro up the bay and get dropped off at Jack London Square or possibly even the stadium. I mean, that's scenic, man. You leave 11 and you get there and kind of mosey on in for a 1 o'clock Saturday game.
Yeah, I mean,
Amazing.
Richmond has a ferry station that they built a couple of years ago.
Or is it Benicia, Sausalito, or
Vallejo and Sausalito.
Vallejo, Sausalito, Richmond. Richmond just built one a couple of years ago. So I mean, it's just a nice little cruise down the bay, just a couple cities down, and there you are.
Yeah, so I was just talking about the ferry building. I think a couple weeks back, me and Lisa went to Sausalito, and she was telling me that she's never taken the ferry. I was like, oh, we gotta do it. Just to let you know, if they tell you that there's pastries and hot breakfast, they've been saying that since I was a kid, and there's never been hot pastries or breakfast.
Never.
Not once.
But the point of like making it easy for people to go to see the games, like the easier you make it to make a day of it, it's like, why would you not want to do that? Like it's benefits everybody. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and I just think the location would make the most sense for me, being able to spill out into the, they're going to be building this this baseball village, but also like pouring out into other neighborhoods. Chinatown's right there. Jack London's right there. Downtown is not too far. Old Oakland is, right there.
Yeah.
There's just so much to do in that whole corridor. And I think it enhances the whole downtown experience of Oakland, is that, because Oakland's not very big. Like, anybody for whatever reason, somebody who shout out France, we had a France listener, the Bay is really not that big geographically, so for you to get from Jack London to downtown Oakland, it's really not that much, so you really have an opportunity to move some infrastructure closer to your downtown, have some events going on, because it's not just gonna host baseball. You're talking concerts and festivals, and you're opening up that shoreline. So you're talking boating events. There's going to be more kayaking, and look at what San Francisco did when they started to clean up their shoreline. They started to have all these big events for those speed boats,
Yeah, the Cup of America.
Right. So like you get to be a part of that too. And I think it as a region, you're going to have the Giant Stadium, you have the A Stadium, you have all the infrastructure around there. Then you have, Stanford, Avaya, the hockey rinks. Like it starts to put the Bay Area, as far as sports complexes. Yeah, it's kind of spaced out, but there are some premier sports complexes in the region, which makes you, we know World Cup is going to be in North America. I think it's going to be I think there's a couple games at Levi.
Yep. Levi's is one of the host stadiums.
So you kind of grow this network where you have the infrastructure to do more World Cups. You have the infrastructure to do the Olympics. You have the infrastructure to do, the Super Bowl, World Series. Like you have the infrastructure to do all these things. And if the A's go to Howard Terminal, it's going to free up what's, the current site. And I've been thinking about this for so long, and it's just, to me, the current site should be kind of like, I don't want to say the second downtown, but it should be like a place of education. There's across the way is Martin Luther King Park, where you can, you could go jet skiing, and, rowers go out there early in the morning, but you could kind of work with that whole region right there. I know there's a big article about there's a African-American sports group that wants to buy this half the site and redevelop it and all that stuff. And they got some really good ideas, and like, it should be something that's, for the city. And I don't think it makes the most sense to put the ballpark there because it hasn't worked. And to do it again and pay for this again when's the next time you're getting a stadium for baseball in Oakland? You got to think like you're going to design the stadium to last 100 years, So we're investing for generations. So to me, it just makes the most sense to put it at Howard Terminal.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to make note. The Giants built their stadium, Oracle Park, as it's called now. When it was open, it was called Pacific Bell Park. That was in the year 2001, I think, right? Yeah, 2000, 2001.
Right.
Yeah. So that stadium is approaching 25 years old. So like the first generation of fans are alive and adults and drinking in that stadium and never set foot in Candlestick for a baseball game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that stadium's still gorgeous. It's still not going anywhere. So, I mean, we see what this can be if you do it right. And you find, part of doing it right is putting it at the right location. And as you said, I'm done with the Coliseum's current site. It's just, it has not worked any. And I mean, they've tried to build out like that area across the freeway.
The stadium has its memories, right? Like watching sports events in the stadium and the whole, like the article references the crossing of the bridge and, making that pilgrimage,
Yeah.
It's awesome, but it's one of those things, unfortunately, as beautiful as that is, those memories that we have, that we all share as A's fans, unfortunately, like that's not the future of sports. Unfortunately, they're these giant behemoth money making machines that require a lot of money to be funded.
Yeah,
And,
I watched it. Oh, go ahead, Tim.
I never made this connection before, but yeah, Candlestick was in the middle of nowhere next to a freeway. The Oakland Coliseum is not necessarily out in the middle of nowhere, but it's next to a freeway where there's nothing else. And it's like, yeah, why not use Candlestick as the example of like, this was a place that was iconic for a while, but it's old and it needed to go away because there was a better Coliseum that was built to host the Giants.
Well, it also
and
wasn't up to code on earthquake policies as well.
Oh, okay, well, there was that.
Some
but you know what I mean.
Dave Kaval, there was a time where Dave Kaval seems like he's lost all equity with A's fans, right?
Oh, he absolutely has. Yeah.
So he used to have a lot of equity with A's fans. And when he had that equity with fans, they started to do some things that seemed like they wanted to get A's fandom support. And right now, if you're an A's fan, you get no advertisements for the A's. You get no, there's no perks in buying season tickets. They make it hard to be a fan.
What are you talking about? You definitely get a perk for being a season ticket holder. You get like one of those cheap replica jerseys they give away on Jersey nights.
Oh, it's like a jersey. Yeah, like a jersey. They make it difficult. And when Cavill was starting to build up some capital with the A's, they made some cool improvements. I thought Treehouse was a lot of fun.
The food trucks.
The food trucks, the Championship Plaza. They started to do things that were trying to make it fun for, pre-game. It was a lot of fun where you could go into Championship Plaza and you're playing kind of like backyard games, and they have big screen TVs everywhere. And Treehouse was a lot of fun. And there's the Irish bar.
That's my tried and true. Every time I went to the stadium, we
always have to stop by there. So they did. Shibe Tavern's really cool, and I just think about, what could the new ballpark offer? What would Shibe Park Tavern in the new ballpark design to really look like a? I think Shibe Tavern, that type of bar, restaurant, whatever you want to call it, or combination is, what would that look like truly inspired by the Philadelphia A's history? Or what would an area of the park where it's like Kansas City barbecue, California, there's all these like things, these ingredients that the new ballpark can have but also, and I think the waterfront is really important because there used to be, well, there still is like the longshoremen of Oakland. Like there is a seaport, Oakland, the East Bay was a huge port system, and it still is. So, the Stockton ports, right? Like the minor league affiliate, which you could take a ferry to Stockton. It just makes sense that you put it on the water. It just makes sense. The historical value, what you can do with it. It would just be beautiful, man.
There was a YouTube video I watched that emphasized on the evolution of stadiums. And yeah, the whole premise was to show like how stadiums, became a thing. But I think what the video didn't tell you, the undertone of it, is that stadiums were built back then to be the place of interest and you just go there. Now stadiums are built in to build a community and build more profit. They're cash cows. How do you get more cash out of this thing? When you go to San Francisco, there's tons of things to do around the stadium. So I think it'd be great to see West Oakland get an improvement in that category, in that sense of enriching everything around it. And to your point, I don't think I would bring Shibe Tavern with me. I would rename them. I'd probably rename them Lefty Grove Pub. I would rename something that incorporates old players and try and bring that nostalgic to the new stadiums, but not making it so we just reminisce about the days of old,
But maybe they sell a burger, like a 2-patty burger, call it the double X burger for Jimmy Fox, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, St. Louis used to have, the Mac burger, the Big Mac burger, so, and I think they had a whole section dedicated to McGuire as well too. So it's just something that you could do. That
it goes without saying. Yeah, no, you can have a section that's old school Oakland Coliseum too. I just think it would be cool to like finally have an A's Hall of Fame that you can walk through and, just honor all that stuff, all the tradition that this franchise has. But just going back to the original point of how we started here with the article, and the Coliseum is going to be greatly missed. I think we all share the same memories that the article presents. The last dive bar stuff, right? Like we've all said that it was all common. A's fans have used that language a long time, and it has great memories, but I think it's like one of those things to like, it's time. And when that time comes to, if we were able to get a new stadium and the time is when the detonators are set to the Coliseum, it's definitely going to be sad. I'm definitely going to be emotional, but I'm going to be excited that maybe this new stadium puts them in an ability to compete, so we don't have to say goodbye to our star players. That's what I'm hoping for.
Okay, one last thing and we can move on from it. And I want anyone who's listening to comment below on YouTube, give us your thoughts and what your opinion is. Left field or right field, which bleacher are you rooting for?
I don't know, man. I used to have bleacher tickets as a season ticket holder a long time ago, and more often than not, I was sitting in left field because that's where more of the home runs go, and I was trying to get a ball. But then I decided to upgrade my life and not have to try to fight for a seat. So I'm loving the 230 life. I'm a lot more than I was the bleacher life. I'll say
you got to pick a bleacher though. This is a fight amongst A's fans.
I said 230, 230, section 230. That's
What are you picking, Sam? Left field or right field?
I'll take left field.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm taking left field too. Sorry, right field. I'm taking
shout out right field. Will.
Listen, I'm
the man, the myth, the legend. Hey, I seen him. I want to say I ran into him at a Stockton Ports game for sure. And I want to say he was
in Chicago at the
Chicago.
He was at the White Sox game.
Yeah, and I said what's up to him at the White Sox game. So, our paths have crossed outside of the Coliseum.
What are you picking, Tim? Left field or right field?
It's gonna sound like crazy, but I really like to just sit in the middle and just watch everything. from just right there. Like, hey, I can look. I don't have to move my head very much to see
He's all
what's going
diamond
on.
level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sit behind home plate.
I'm in the skybox, you know.
I prefer the couch. It's cheapest.
Comment below on our YouTube page. Are you a left field or are you a right field? Let us know.
That's right. You're listening to the SVT podcast. Subscribe on YouTube and hit the bell to get alerts when we post a new episode. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at SVT Sports Pod. Slide into our DMs. We would love to interact with you.